in winners that doesn't exist, because if you had a bad half, you're ready for the second half and you're ready to go, right? Because you're always looking, like I said, enough isn't enough. But there are situations that you see throughout the years where guys is like, oh, I'll just get it next year. No, you won't. There'll be another guy who could get spot.
And so just from a competitive mindset, it was like, I just wanted it. As you said, enough is not enough. Most people be like, dang, you blind. How can you got all the way to the fourth board? That's amazing. No, it ain't. Like,
there's a process. There's a step-by-step process when you're on the phone. There's a step-by-step process to how to run a route, right?
Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is L.A. Williams, also known as the Blind Master, Vice President with Dealer Synergy, and the co-creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And y'all know what I am. Pumped up, fired up, super excited. Why? Because today I got a guest on here, man. He and I have been spending a lot of time together. And he's a football coach, y'all. He actually comes from being an All-American defensive back, right? Rocking it in college, kind of doing this thing there. We're going to get some details about that. But now, man, he's training folks, initially training athletes, right, to go to the NFL. You got a couple little draft picks, what I'm saying? Super excited about that, right? But now he's in the automotive industry. He's a performance coach with Dealer Synergy. And I love, it was so crazy because when we were, having the discussions and talking about bringing him on board, I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be perfect because he already has the mindset of coaching and being coached. See, a lot of times, I talk to salespeople, I'm not y'all, not the Millionaire Car Salesman listeners, but other people, right? They act like they want to be coached, but then when you coach them, they wimp up, you know what I'm saying? So that's not what we're looking for. Even people who come aboard at Dealer Synergy, right? They don't know how to take coaching, right? Let alone be a coach, right? So, and some folks can be a coach, but they can't take coaching, right? So the cool thing about this guy is he actually is the best of both worlds. For me, I come from coaching folks in the studio, right? And in the music business and helping folks build their business and all kinds of stuff. And he comes from the field, right? And so that's why we're talking about, from the field to the sales floor. Why greatness doesn't matter what the arena is, right? There are so many different similarities. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about. First of all, in case I didn't tell y'all who he is Mr. Brandon Anderson. He is the founder of I call it Train AAA Tough. You know what I'm saying? Brandon Anderson Academy. How you say your academy,
Anderson
Brandon?
Athletic Academy.
And Athletic Academy. I should know because I did the daggone commercial, but you know how I be. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things I understand about coaching is it could be tough, right? And so have you ever had any tough coaches? Like when you was at an All-American level, did you have people that's like, it make you be like, do I really want to do this? Like, why did I sign up for this? Like, you ever had a situation like that?
I think I get attracted to that. Like, I loved it. So, like, I love the coach that wasn't laid back. A laid back coach, you allow it, then that's what you as a coach. You know what I mean? But
that's crazy. So he talking to the sales managers. No, I'm just saying, right? He talking to the sales managers out there. You can't be laid back. I mean, you can't be all constantly in somebody's face. It's about a balance, right? But I'm just saying, you can't just allow mistakes and things like that to happen. You got to make sure that you say something, right? So here's the cool part, right? In football, you had 6 a.m. meetings, right? And in sales, we got 8 a.m. meetings, right? So which one would you say is tougher, right? With just when you got to do them 6 a.m. meetings and get all together, or the coaching that you hear me doing on my little what I call them live call listings?
I think both are definitely tough, but that 6 a.m. that's real. Good night, that's short.
Okay. Gotcha, absolutely. So now that we've established that you come from a tough world, I really want us to take a quick little break, and I want us to come back and have some conversation with the Millionaire Car Salesman listeners about how, when you come from somewhere where it's tough, whether it be the military, the football, like NFL type, the college coach, whatever, the physical toughness and all that kind of stuff. When you come from that, man, something like this, you be like, this is easy. Stop playing with me, y'all. So we'll be back on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. Let me pay some bills real quick. Be right back.
If you're looking for the absolute best automotive sales training from the #1 millionaire car salesman in the world, Cody Carter, who sold 1,408 units in 2023 and made $1.2 million in personal income, make sure you sign up for Cody's 24/7 video on-demand training, tracking, and testing certification program, Sell Like Cody. That's right, Sell Like Cody is on Bradley On Demand. Cody covers absolutely everything in his successful selling process. If you want to learn how to sell more cars, more often, and more profitably, enroll now at bradleyondemand.com or contact Dealer Synergy today.
Thank you for calling Doing It Wrong Motors. How can I help you?
I was looking at the tan 2023 GMC Terrain. You guys still have that?
Oh, sorry. That vehicle's been sold.
Could this be happening at your dealership? Get the Dealer Synergy team to handle calls the right way. We'll gather all the information, drop it in the CRM, set a solid appointment with notes, so all you have to do is sell. Do yourself a favor and go to dealersynergy.com for a free demo.
And no more of this burning through phone-ups nonsense.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And as I said, we got my main man, Mr. Brandon Anderson from Anderson Athletic Academy and a performance coach at Dealer Synergy. So I don't even want to play around with this thing. I want to get right into it, right? Because, and I understand we want to learn a little bit about your background and all that good stuff. I already told them, listen, you're All-American defensive back, all that good stuff. So they know what you're made of, right? So I just kind of want to talk about, I think that a lot of times in sales, this is the only industry where we don't practice, where we don't, like in sales, in athletics and in music and stuff like that, right? Over and over and over and over, all that different kind of stuff. So if salespeople, Brandon, if everybody looked at themselves as an athlete or the same way an athlete does, what are some of the changes you think folks would, what would change for people?
I think people will understand that preparation meets opportunity, right? So if we're not prepared, we're not going to cash in on that opportunity. If I was preparing for a football game, we practice for 11 games a year in college. We practice in 50 weeks. So you know how many reps that is? So it's just, you got to rep it over and over and over. And in anything we do, you can't throw anybody in any industry and just wing it. I think we got to, I like to say practice. It doesn't make perfect because we always can be better, but it makes permanent, right? So we get comfortable in the roles that we are in. So
yeah, but why do people, when they're in a business like automotive sales, right? What do you think the struggle is with connecting the dots, right? How come maybe nobody ever brought it to their attention that is similar, like their greatness it's the same thing no matter what, right? And so maybe that's the reason. But what do you think the struggle is with connecting it to high level performance no matter what the arena is?
I think it's you have to have a competitive mindset in both athletics and in sales. So what that comes down to, do you want to be the best or you just want to be here? Because if you just want to be here, you're going to show up right at 8:00 if you got to be there. But if you want to be the best, you're going to show up 10 minutes or early. You're going to make sure you're prepared. So I think the art of just wanting to be the best, if you're a sales representative, enough isn't enough, right? So it doesn't matter if you had 2 touchdowns on the field, you want 4 because you really him. So if you can making 50% connection, let's get to 75. It's just never enough. So I think the word is competing in all aspects of life.
Absolutely. One of the things I talk about is compete, don't compare, right? It's not about comparing yourself to what someone else is doing, right? You got to think of yourself as the competition, right? I know we talk a lot about Cody Carter that's doing 150 sales in a month and all that different kind of stuff. That should inspire you, right? It's not supposed to, make you go, oh man, I only did 20, so I'm not such and such. No, it's okay, he did 150. Let me get the 50. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it takes, right? Let me do more than what I'm currently doing, right? Because as you said, enough is not enough, right? Now, what about, because some people out there that be like, I don't need training. I already know what to do. Such and such and such and such. What do you say to somebody that kind of has that mindset?
We don't relate. That's, to me, a loser mindset, right? Even when you're the best, you're always trying to be a sponge, right? Grasp and gather all the information you can so you stay on top because there's other dogs who want you, right? So I really do think it's a loser mindset to go into it thinking about anything other than what you can control. And we talk about that all the time at Dealer Synergy. Focus on the controllables, not things that you can't control.
Yep. Focus the circle of influence versus the circle of concern, right? Yeah, absolutely. Right. So, wild is everybody says they have that mindset. I mean, I'll be sitting in a training with somebody and they'll be like, stiff and acting like they don't want to learn. And they'll be like, I mean, there's always more to learn. But you acting like it ain't. You acting like you got it all together. Because every time I give you a suggestion, you're like, yeah, but I'm doing this. I'm already doing. No, you're obviously, see, it'd be different if you kind of was doing that, but you're obviously not doing it because if you were on a consistent basis, you have the numbers, right? You'd have success, right? And I always talk about how success, it all starts in the mind. What would you say, because you feel like, sometimes the game is tougher in your head, like in your mind, than it is actually on the sales floor or the field. Talk a little
For
bit about
sure,
that.
and I think that's what starts with confidence, right? So when we talk about a mindset, I don't care again what industry we're in. You need to know that you are fully capable of your job, and that starts with confidence. If you don't, you're going to be unsure of yourself, and when you're unsure of yourself, you're not going to produce. But anybody who's really really good at what they do, they're confident at how to handle what they're asked to do. So I would say confidence is the word. And it does start with the mind before anything else, putting yourself in position to win.
Yeah. Confidence is key. But there are people who have the thought process of because let me ask you this, because there's right today, as of recording this, I'm about to say what the date is, but I don't even know. What's today's date, y'all? Well, so I know this probably gonna come out around the 15th to 14th, somewhere around there. I think that's when it's coming out, right? So let's just say it's the middle of the month. Put it like that, okay? So it's the middle of the month. Is there and there people sometimes go, oh man, I'm having a bad month, man. I'm just going, man, I'm just gonna have to wait for November to come around, right? Does that exist in athletic spaces? Do people go, oh man, the first half, man, I just ain't play so well, so man, coach put me in next game, or do people fight and tell me? I mean, because if it exists, I want to know what the coaching mindset is like. Break that down.
So I think again in winners that doesn't exist, because if you had a bad half, you're ready for the second half and you're ready to go, right? Because you're always looking, like I said, enough isn't enough. But there are situations as you see throughout the years where guys is like, oh, I'll just get it next year. No, you won't. There'll be another guy who took your spot, right? Because time waits for nobody, right? And we always think we got a lot of time, but we don't, right? So we got to maximize our time, right? So if you are struggling, to me, the mindset got to be, how can I be better immediately, right? Not not 6 months from now, immediately. And it goes back to not looking at these guys who are doing the best maybe in your industry. It's looking at you, right? And it's me versus me, you versus you. And I think that's the mindset right there.
I love that, man. I think that's phenomenal. So finish this sentence for me. If somebody said greatness in any field starts with what?
Repetition.
Yeah. Consistency,
Yeah,
right?
consistency and repetition. Greatness is consistency. It's boring because you got to do the same thing over and over. And most people get lazy because it's like, oh, I could be great 3 plays. No. That's good. Greatness is consistent Monday through Monday, right? And we might have a bad day, but we get right back to the bump. So to me,
Right. Because again, it's about the effort, right? Sometimes, one of my coaches says that effort is more important than results, right? Because it's like if you put the effort in every play, if you have a bad play, it's not like, okay, you always could go, okay, it's because of something that I might be concerned about, but something that obviously I couldn't influence in this situation. But over time, right? That's why they say it's the law of large numbers, right? Over time, over consistency, that repetition, right, is the mother of all learning, the father of all. So like I had this always got all kind of quotes stuff like that, right? But the whole point is, man, it's the little boring stuff. And what's wild is that, see, in the NFL, or like you said in college, 11 games, NFL 17 games plus the playoffs if you end up getting there, right? It's almost like this happen, beautiful event type of thing. But in sales, sometimes it's like a regular Tuesday, right? So how do you help someone make the connection, right? Because even in the Millionaire Car Salesman song, I say, at the dealership and I'm on the stage, right? Because I'm talking about it's time to perform, right? Let's go. And sometimes you gotta kind of hype yourself up that every day is a game, right? But so how do you help someone draw those parallels between, okay, yeah, like we might only perform on Sundays, any given Sunday type of thing, or Fridays or Saturdays, and it's funny because it's Fridays in high school football. Saturday is college football, and Sundays are in the pros. But anyway, how do you make that connection from Tuesday or Wednesday?
So I think a lot of people think that like we just show up on Saturday, or we just show up on Friday night or Sunday, right? But the truth is that we're in the building Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Again, repetition, watching film, lifting weights, conditioning, whatever it is to prepare for that game, right? Now, to me, how that correlates is because on Monday morning, you need to treat it like Tuesday. You need to treat it like Wednesday. Treat every day the same, and you're gonna have greatness, right? And it might seem boring. You want to clock out at times. There's people like, another practice, right? But that's what's gonna separate you, because you eat what you kill in this business, right?
Yes, indeed. I'm loving that. I'm talking. So here's the thing. You've trained athletes who've made it to the NFL. I want you to talk about what is the difference between, like, the number one, whether it's mindset difference or whatever, what's the difference between folks who want it and folks who get it?
So there's a guy I work with. His name is RJ Moten. And you know why I like RJ is because whether it's up or down, he gets signed, he get cut, whatever it is, he's ready to work. He's hitting right after every single day. He's working. He's getting up in the morning. He's not letting his situation dictate his standard. His standard is to work hard and do what he needs to do. Everything that he can't control, who's going to sign him, he just shows up and to me that's what it is. You can't, it's standard versus feelings. There's a standard to be met compared to how you feel, right? Nobody cares how you feel. Let's be honest, outside your family. But if we're talking about on the real, that standard that you uphold is always going to be valid if you're consistent every day, every week, just staying consistent.
Yeah, 100%, man. So I kind of want to get a little bit just into your background and thought process, because I want to talk about, like, when did you start playing football? Like when did that kind of enter into your life? What would you like? Just say maybe what age?
I was about 8 years old. Yeah, I was about 8 years old when I started a game of football.
Now, here's the thing. It's like, because they say, you develop a child's cognitive abilities all the way up until they're 7, right? So what changed for you, kind of like from a football perspective, when that entered into your life and you realized, wait a minute, life is a little bit different? Because see, for me, it was like the blind kid playing video games, right? And even though I started, playing the piano and stuff like that at 7, I probably didn't really start with the whole production mindset till I hit probably about 12, right? 11, 12, somewhere around there. But like, it was for me, it was like playing video games really helped me. It's so funny when people are like, oh, video games don't help. Yes, they do, right? Because when I was playing Ninja Turtles and I couldn't get past the second or third board, man, that that snowboard? I don't know if you were playing that. Right? So Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, they added this little snowboard, and they had this dude at the end. It was like those little fox dude. Man, I couldn't beat that kid for nothing, man. I was so mad, right? And I remember when I did, I was like, yeah, we was all so excited and everything like that, right? And so just from a competitive mindset, it was like, I just wanted it, as you said, enough is not enough. Most people be like, dang, you blind, how can you got all the way to the 4th board? That's amazing. No, it ain't. Like, I was the 5th board, 6th board, all that kind of stuff. So how did football shape the way you think, you coach, whether it's not just on the field, but in life, right? And now in business?
I'm really good with like looking at people who've done it before me, and trying to like use that as a blueprint, right? So when we talk, I've always been competitive, just through our sports growing up, whether it was baseball, football, and baseball was really what my sport was until I got to football. And what I noticed is like everybody says they want to be good, right? But then when you're the only one in the weight room 2 hours after it, you start to see, okay, this is where it separates. Because some people are more talented than me for sure, but what's separating me is the extra work that I put in, outside of the practice field, outside of what the coaches see, right? But you got to be true to yourself. So what they say, what comes in the dark really shows in the light. That is for real. Like if you do all that hard work in the dark, I promise you're going to outshine in the light. And I just think competitively, football, it just teaches you discipline. When you start that early, you late to practice, you running. If you're late to your job,
Mm,
you lose it. You just lost the lead. You just lost something. There's nothing negative that comes from that, right? So just showing up 5 minutes early, putting the right things in my body so I'm ready to produce. My body's not cramping on the field, right? So that's drinking a lot of fluids throughout the week. So it's, to me,
mm,
preparation, as I said this in the beginning too, preparation always meets opportunity, right? So when you're prepared, you're ready to cash in on the opportunity. When you're not prepared, right? So you might have that one big call and you ain't had that in 2 weeks, right? And you ready to close, set up this appointment, whatever you're trying to do. It's time to cash in, but you're not feeling confident because you're not prepared. So I think preparation, meeting opportunity is everything.
man, telling you on it, man. I love that whole thought process of, that there's not a whole lot of traffic on the extra mile, right? So you might as well just go it. You know what I'm saying? You might as well do it. I guess think it's just this is the winning thought process. So, all right. So here's the thing. So you come from the field, I come from the studio, but we're both in the business of turning talent into like high level performance, right? So what would you say the common threads you see, like whether, because I talk about, doing it in the music business, and you might even have some questions for me about how that really correlates, but what is the common thread that you see?
That's a great question. There's a lot. I would say fundamentals is the first word that come to my mind. A lot of people,
Mm,
you see a spin move on, oh, what did he do to get there, right? There's a process. There's a step-by-step process when you're on the phone. There's a step-by-step process to how to run a route, right? So I just think the fundamentals, it really stands out. And when I see great agents, a lot of the times they take their time, they're going through, they're not reading from a script or anything like that, but they're actually following a process. They're in a flow, right? And it's because they're going through a
mm,
step by step thing. They're not skipping over anything. And the same thing on the field. You skip over something, now we're off time. We're not completing a pass, right? We're missing a tackle. So it correlates. The fundamentals is one. We talked about confidence, but you need confidence. Like you got to really feel like you him when you or you her when you on them phones, or you when you're doing your thing on both avenues. And
mhm.
then third is communication. Let's just, you have to communicate. If you don't understand something, then find somebody who does understand and get that knowledge, right? And that's the same thing on the field. We
Yep.
got to be on the same page at once, and that's just with communication. So I'm gonna say communication is three.
I love it. I love it, man, because it's so true. Same deal in the studio, right? So confidence, man. When somebody's in the booth, right, I can tell when they don't really know that song. You know what I'm saying? Just wrote it or they reading it off of paper, it's not going to come across the same. And you end up spending a whole lot more time in the studio, which costs,
Mhm.
right? If you spend more time, I mean, even if you're spending time, period, trying to get it right versus, putting the work in ahead of time. So, if you write something, have the skill to be able to deliver it with confidence. And really, that's what the reps are doing, right? It's helping you to become more and more and more and more confident, right? So that's absolutely phenomenal. And then communication, man. I'm telling one of the things about us as producers, right? When I'm talking to an agent and talking to somebody in the booth, I know I use a lot of analogies, right? You might have heard me use analogies because I like to make things make sense to people, even when I'm talking to customers, right? I want to make things make sense to people because if I can do that, then it allows it to get into their mind and reach them at a deeper space, right? And so you're absolutely correct when it comes to communicating. If you don't understand something, don't pretend as if you do, right? Get someone to, hey, listen, I actually don't get it, right? Now, don't be that corny person that's like, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it. And you're not even trying to get it, right? That's whack too, right? That's another losing mindset, right? So I love that. I love that. Now, earlier you said something about winging your way to success, right? And I always say you can't wing your way to world class, right? So do you feel like athletes and maybe even salespeople, do they underestimate what it takes, and how repetitive greatness really is? I know you mentioned a moment ago about how it's boring, right? It can be really boring, right? But it's not about the shiny object at that point in time, right? It's about winning, right? If you like win, see, I think some people like the illusion of winning more than they actually like winning. You know what I'm
Absolutely, absolutely.
saying?
I think I just think winners have the mindset. Again, enough is not enough. Like there's a point when you talk about winging it. there's a point your talent might
Mm,
take you up but so far, but you still have not reached your full
mm.
potential, right? So your full
Ooh.
potential only can be maximized, right? If you again prepare and you do almost everything you can, and everybody loves Kobe Bryant now. It's cool to like him, right? But it wasn't cool
Mhm.
to be around him when he was playing because he did everything. He didn't want to be around you if you was a competitor, right? There was things that he and you got to get dark sometimes if you want to win, right? You got to do everything you can
Yeah.
do to win, and winging it in any industry, I just don't think it prepares you for the opportunities to reach your full potential.
Man, you're absolutely right. So, man, I want to kind of take a second to let our sponsors get a word in edgewise, but I think that when I come back, I want to talk about how, you've been in some high stakes situations. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, people just don't think of their lives as, a high stakes situation. They just really don't, and it's a shame because I think that's one of the biggest differences that allows people to lose because you think it's normal to just make, and let's just say for the automotive industry, $5 to $8 grand a month. Like you think that's just cute, right? But that ain't how it works, right? You supposed to win, right? And so I want to kind of talk about having that mindset, supposed to win. But before we do, right, I want to just take this little break. Like I said, let our sponsors step in for a quick little moment, and then we'll come back and talk about how important it is to have a mindset that you're supposed to freaking win. It's the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. Y'all, we'll be right back.
This has been the most in-depth training I've had in my lot of years in the car business.
We went from 60 cars to 156 cars a month in 3 months.
NAMAD, the entire Toyota Chicago region, as well as the top automotive groups like Coons, Lithia, and Norm Reeves have all used Bradley On Demand to train their team.
They're the most comprehensive training company I've seen, and they by far have the best support system.
Doing 50 cars a month, topped out at 80. I can tell you that the Bradley On-Demand training will get you to the next level.
And guess what? The world's #1 car salesman, Cody Carter, shares his exclusive strategies right here. You want his secrets? You gotta have Bradley On Demand. If you're still not enrolled in Bradley On Demand, you're missing out on the best virtual automotive training in the world. Enroll now or contact us for a free test drive of the platform today.
All right, we are back on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and we're talking to Brandon Anderson, and he is a performance coach with Dealer Synergy, also owner of Anderson Athletic Academy. Right, so we just been drawing a lot of parallels to how it works in the automotive industry, as well as the music industry where I come from, as well as the athletic world where he comes from. Right, and it's not like it's as different as folks think. Right. I was saying that, when you're in the NFL or even when you're in the music business, a lot of people think, oh, high stakes, right? You got this big show, right? I played at the Grammys before. It's like this big show. I think, what's wild for me, Brandon? You tell me if it's like this for you. When I played at the Grammys, I kind of just felt like we was just practicing again. Like, like it was, and maybe because for me, I don't know if it's about the being blind thing. I don't see all the lights and the blah, 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 the big crowd. It just was the same stuff, right? It was just doing the same thing, right? It was hey, making sure my stuff is lined up, right? It didn't really feel any different to me. I know AJ Brown kind of talked about it winning the Super Bowl. It was like, I mean, it just felt like the same thing, right? Matter of fact, I just want to do it again. Let's go, right? So how would you say you do that? Like take those high stakes situations and make them regular, so other folks can take regular situations and make them more high stake. What do you think the thought process on it?
I think you got to take. It's cliche. They say take every game the same. It really is. It really is true. Take every phone call as the same. If you prepare for every game to the maximum, if you prepare like every phone call, every sale to the maximum, then you can't lose. Why? Because you've been here before. But a lot of times we psych ourselves out with external thoughts that really have nothing to do with nothing. It's just another game that they named the Super Bowl. It's still a football game. They didn't change the rules. It's still a phone call. I don't care who's on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm him. That's the confidence that we're talking about. And I just think keeping that mindset of it's all the same. It's just the mind can trick you with the labels. Oh, it's the Super Bowl. It's a play. No, this is another down, another snap. You've been doing this your whole life.
Right. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm telling you, like it's so it's so, the correlations, I'm just telling you, it exists so much more than folks even realize, right? And, I like what you just talked about, like every sale, everything is the same, because here's what the problem is. When people, like they say, this is something that they say, and I know that it's true, but I also want to see if we can make it a little bit less true. They say the best time to make a sale is right after you made a sale, right? And the reason that's the case is because after you make a sale, what's high? Your confidence is high. You feel like, oh man, your energy is high. You just on a whole, so what that also in turn means is after you don't make a sale, right? You end up, your energy is low and you're like, oh man, I got to go do this another up, man. No, man, we want to get to a place where we just plus, like I like what like Big said, you know what I'm saying? My game just rewind, you know what I'm saying? Like we put ourselves in position where it's like, it's the same thing over and over and over again. And I stay excited. Right, staying excited, I think is because a lot of people can stay excited, and this is one thing that happens when people get started. And you tell me if this is the case in the world of football, right? When people first get started, they be all excited and then be like, "Yeah, I'm about to kill." And you see the quote unquote green peas that do really well, and then people want to say, "Oh, well, that's because the manager." No, shut up, right? I'm talking about green peas that actually, when they follow in the system, they're excited, they're doing what they're supposed to do. But then a little bit later on, they kind of start getting a mindset of what, right? What is that thought process that takes them off their game, that sends them into that tailspin? It's almost like the sophomore slump and, little stuff like that. Break that down for us, Brandon. Talk to us about that.
It's believing the hype. It's the ego, right? So you made a sale. Now you're all confident. I don't got to do the process no more. I got this. No, you can't take it personal. Whether somebody, if you can't make the sale, or you did, you treat it all the same, right? And that's what we was talking about previously. That like I think a lot of times we let our feelings dictate what the standard is, right? We let the outcome or the result dictate the work we put in. No, we know the work we got to put in, and the result's going to be the result. We controlled what we can control. And I think that's really a big thing, like just making sure we stick to the standard and not our feelings or the outcome of what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's wild because coming from a person who's been under real pressure, I'm talking about game days, scouts watching, all that different kind of stuff. But to perform when the lights are on, it's the same thing as that private grind, right? That, how I talk to the agents about over the weekend, like 24 hours in a 24-hour time frame, 24 reps, right? In a 24-hour time frame. And this is I'm just talking about phone sales, right? I know it's a lot of times we can definitely do a little bit more. We should be doing 25 times in a day, right? But I'm just saying, you rehearse in private so that you can perform in public, so that it's no difference when we know when the lights are on. So how important is the private grind? I want you to talk about like when you're not with the coaches, when when is nobody watching, like, you know what I'm saying? Not even in the daggone weight room, when you're in the hotel room, when you're in, your house, right? When you're in wherever whatever space you go to that is nobody watching you. Are you sitting there chilling on Instagram, flipping on your phone, all that different kind of stuff? Or are you putting in the work? Can you talk about the importance of the private grind?
The private grind is more important than that game day. Why? Because that private grind, you watching film, you're trying to see tendencies, you're trying to see what's going on. Where can you get the competitive edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing in this industry. Where can you get the competitive edge? Where could you be better? Are you sharp on your rebuttals? Are you sharp pacing the call? Are you building a rapport with is there a purpose, right? Are you qualified? There's somewhere you can be better. And that's what we do throughout the week. We're trying to make sure, okay, he takes a jab here when he does that. Okay, I need to stay patient.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to go inside out and track his hip. He likes to put it, but you won't know that if you're not doing those things outside or trying to catch on to different tendencies outside of the building. Again, you're not going to reach your full potential if you're not doing everything you can to be the best at what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to draw the correlation, right? You might be, thinking about somebody's, like you said, hips or the jab and all that. But I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I thought it's so interesting when customers cross their arms, or I think it's so interesting when customers, say this particular thing, right? Because we all know it's the same stuff, y'all, right? It ain't really too many new objections out there. How many different times can you hear the term "I'm just looking," right? I mean, people gonna say it, right? So we gotta, okay, when they say it this way, I could approach it like this. If they say it that way, I could approach it like this. If they say it while they're smiling, they say it when they're waving their hands, when they say, like, I got to pay attention to how people stand, right? Because trust and believe, customers stand a certain type of way. They sit a certain type of way. They look, there's little things, right, that human beings just do. And we got to understand psychology, sociology, right, in order to win at a high level. So do you think, based off what we were talking about here, do you think people in the automotive world, have you noticed that they seem to underestimate how much conditioning it takes to win? And I'm talking about they got to stay sharp, physically, mentally, every single day. You think they underestimate it? And what do we have to say to them to stop doing that?
I truly do. I see that a lot. I actually see that even when they're talking to a customer, the customer seems like he's negative or having a bad day. Now their voice is changing and like, no, you in control. No, you in control of this phone call, right? And I think you just got to be in control of who you are, know who you are, right? And be confident in who you are and what you know with the work you've put in. Now, if you didn't put the work in, I understand why you're not confident. That is on you. You have to take accountability to put in the work. And I guarantee you, if you buy in to all the training and who you are, you're gonna see results and you're gonna be successful. So I just think putting in that work so you're confident. It's either two things. You're not confident because you didn't put in the work, right? Or you're confident because you did put in the work. I don't see it being anything else. So.
Love it, man. Absolutely. It really just boils down to that. So I want to talk a little bit to the managers, right? Because we've been talking directly to the sales, or to the salespeople friends, right? Ask a friend, right? Because I'm saying that jokingly, but we got the Millionaire Car Salesman listeners. So even someone who's listening to this podcast, we know that they're putting in some level of work to get to the next level, even if it's just being exposed to what they need to know, right? But let's talk to the managers, right? What would you say the difference between the coach who motivates and the coach who transforms, right? What is the, because I mean, there's people who just, they talk the talk and all that, but then there's some people who actually get results. What would you say the difference is between those type of managers / coaches / producers, like, you know what I'm saying? Same world.
What I would say, all good coaches are they're able to develop talent and really team build in a really good way. Like and what I mean by that is you can do it by example, right? So if motivation isn't working, show them the way, so there's no questions, right? Holding everyone accountable. The best teams I've been on, everybody was accountable. Nobody was trying to be cool. And when I say trying to be cool, it's cool to go outside 15 minutes, do your thing, chill, come back. Just no, right? Have a standard. Yo, where can you be better on your break? And I think accountability is the word. I think accountability is the best word. Holding everybody accountable, and we have one goal: defining roles. Right? Everybody. There's 11 guys on the football field. Everybody needs to do their 111th, we like to say. Because if everybody does their 111th, what happens? The job is done. Yeah. So I really believe in that.
I love that, man. When you said that actually on a couple, maybe like a week or so ago, and I was like, yo, that's really cool. So like, think about it. If there's 10 salespeople and the game, right, or in this situation, 11 salespeople, if the game is for us to hit a certain number of cars, right, we got to do our number, right? And everybody knows that everybody's number is not the same, right? It's not like, okay, if it's 10 salespeople, we got to sell 100 cars. Each person is going to sell 10. We know that's not the case, right? And I really probably should double those numbers, right? Because I got stores that literally they got like 4 or 5 people, and the goal is to sell 80 to 100 cars, right? Well, we know some people are going to sell 25 and some people are going to sell 15, but do what the coach asked you to do, right? I love that. And if you're talking to your team, don't, everybody's not going to do this. They're not going to give you the same number of points. If we're talking basketball, right? Listen, that's not how it works, right? So you have to, you coach everybody the same. You hold everybody to their standard, but the standard is it's a collective, right? It's not just like, okay, you have to do this, you have to do this. No, everybody got to do their part. So I love that. So I want to talk about working with elite athletes, salespeople, because remember, we're talking to the managers right now. How do you earn the trust of someone who already knows, not even thinks, like I'm talking about the ones who's already killing the game, right? Because obviously there's still a level of trust that has to be established as a coach. How do you do that?
you have to be knowledgeable, and you can't be afraid to coach them either, right? Because a lot of times you see these great players, the coaches, they don't really want to coach them because they don't want to hurt their feelings. No, you have to keep the standard, and when you push the great ones, now everybody follow suit. Like, oh, he can't slack off, right? And that doesn't mean getting in their face or doing anything like that. It just means making sure you're holding them to reach their full potential, right? Everybody's skill set is different. Everybody's not going to be Michael Jordan, but everybody can be their individual best self, and finding and identifying what you see them maximizing themselves to be, and getting them to go chase that. And I think that's in greatness. I see that a lot of times. A great player won't get coached as hard, or he gets away with this, and it's like, what are we doing here? You're allowing it to happen. If you're allowing it, you're not coaching.
That's it. You're telling the truth right now. So like, as you train pros right now, you're coaching sales pros and things like that. What is the first sign, right? Because it's signs. Like, we know when something going on. Like, the folks be trying to act like they want to hide it, right? I'm telling you, we know when something is going on. So what is the first thing you notice when somebody's coasting instead of growing?
The energy in the beginning of the call is everything. So I can hear it. You just here to be here, going through the motions. It's another two. And then the great agents, it seems like they knew him for 20 years. You're like, hold on. On a Monday, he's showing up like this? And I think that's what it is, the energy in the beginning. You have to bring the energy to the party.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm not saying everybody's like animated. Some people are laid back, but you still need to want to be there, right? And a lot of people who struggle sometimes, they're lazy in the beginning. It's just another day. You can't think about it like that.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't it can't be fake, right? That's the whole thing. You can't be fake energy. It's like, bring authentic energy and allow your manager, allow the coach, right? And this is the whole thing. This is what you want to tell your sales team, right? Let them know. Listen, you could talk to me about pretty much whatever, right? I mean, for real. I tell my agents, like, listen, the simple fact that you sat on that, right, is against me, because I feel like that I must not have built the level of trust that says, hey, you can bring something to me. Because, like, if you're starting to coast, like, I need to be able to say something to you right then and there, right? I need to be able to notice it. And so obviously, as players know, you know what you're doing and not doing, right? So do not let that last for any extended period of time. If it lasts for more than 24 hours, I'm telling you, something's off, right? I understand we're all human beings, right? And so the sun goes up, the sun goes down, right? The flowers bloom, flowers die, right? So we're human beings, right? So you're gonna have emotional ups and downs, but the sun shouldn't be down for about 4-5 days like that. It ain't supposed to work like that, you know what I'm saying? So I love that. All right, so Brandon, talk to me about this, because in football, right, small mistakes lose games, right? In sales, small mistakes lose deals, right? So how do you get people to take the little things seriously?
The little things matter. I mean, when I tell you the little things matter so much, because that's what equates to the large picture. There's no large picture without the small details, right? So if you miss a step, that's a missed opportunity, right? If you let me tell you something. If your route is 8 steps and you take 7, that is your fault, right? We are not catching the ball. It's all about timing, right? So you have to. That's how this game is. You ever heard this, a game of inches? I mean it. People lose by a game of inches. He didn't take the right read with his eyes, right? And now he's out of position, and there's a touchdown by just a yard, right? And in this situation, right, and how we relate it is, if you didn't call that customer during prime time hours and you only called him in the morning, what are we doing? We just missed a prime opportunity for a deal, right? But you would never know that if you're like, oh, he was never coming. Then you have the wrong mindset. You have to do everything the right way. And I mean, everything is the little details matter sometimes more than the biggest details, right? Because we won't even get there.
Yeah.
But there's a trail. You have to take the little details to execute the big thing.
Absolutely. I mean, we recently there was a game in the NFL where the Cardinal player, right, he broke away on a nice touchdown run, or what he thought was a touchdown run. And, I don't know if he got fancy. I ain't going to say, because I ain't see the play, right? Y'all can go out there and tell me what happened, right? But he, like, dropped the ball at the 1-foot line, right? And it wasn't a touchdown, right? And the ball went in the end zone, ended up being a touchback, and they ended up losing the game by 1. right? So it's just little stuff like that. These are the things like when I call Brandon, if I ring his phone and I say, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, may I speak with Brandon, please?
This is Brandon.
Hey, Brandon, this is LA Will. See, there's a difference if I don't say, hey, Brandon. If I just say, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, may I speak with Brandon?
This is he.
This is LA Williams calling from A. See, there's a difference, right? And see, people be like, LA, it can't be that. Come on, man. And I always say the difference between winning and losing is so minute that it appears ridiculous. And so most of us never make the adjustment. We just don't change, right? Because we think it's a small thing. When I tell you not to say how you doing on the call, right? And I feel like people sometimes be like, I'm gonna say it even more, right? You're losing. Not even like your account is full and you cha-chinged all up, but you're not, right? So what makes you want to push back on a coach that's telling you the seriousness of doing something? When you set an appointment, is it on the quarter hour, or are you okay with setting up 12 o'clock or 1:30? Come on now. No, appointments that are on a quarter hour show up 33% more, and you don't want to, what? You don't want to set a point like, oh, well, the customer said 4 o'clock. I don't care what I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put this on the calendar for 3:45, and that way we're waiting on you and you don't have to wait on us. Fair enough? I have yet to say somebody say to me, no, it has to be 4 o'clock. What? Because you don't care, right? Like,
little things matter, man.
So regardless of how you think the customer going to feel, it don't be real. Just come on, y'all. Come on. So, all right. So I want to talk about this one last thing, and then we're going to get ready to get out of here. Because, accountability, right? You mentioned accountability. What does it look like in the locker room versus at the dealership? Is there a difference, or you feel like there should be some similarities? Break that down to us.
I do. I think, well, it's not that I think. I know if I don't do my job consistently, I won't have a job. I'll be watching the game and watching the guy who's trying to get in behind me, right? And a lot of times we take it for granted because nobody will get in your face in our industry. Nobody's just going to yell at you, or it's handled a little different. You need to understand that you have a job and it must be met. And if it's not met, that comes with consequences. And that should kind of like, that should give you like they gonna try to get me out of here. They don't know who that's the competitiveness that I think relates so much that it just drives you to be the best, because you always know somebody's coming for your position, coming for your job, and you want to get to the top. So I think accountability is everything. We're in a film room, and a guy who's like, that's not my fault, he can't play with me. He can't. Everything is your fault, right? Because you want that. You want to embrace it. Like, how can I get better? You're not in trouble. You're trying to get better. Like, I never understood that. If the coach is trying to get you to see something, you have to buy in. The only way winners win is when we buy into a system. And a system creates structure. Structure is order, right? And that's what's needed to win. You cannot wing it. It all relates. It's all a cycle. It all, So I'm getting passionate right now.
Absolutely. So one of the things I like to talk, it's so wild because when you're working with elite athletes, right? I know we talk about confidence, how it got to be confident, you got to be confident, right? But then there's such thing as too confident, right? You got those arrogant people, right? This is confidence without any sort of evidence. And evidence doesn't necessarily mean sales. I want you to understand that, right? Evidence mean like I'm constantly working, I'm constantly getting better, right? So how do you coach the folks that's a little too confident, right? What do you got to say to those folks, or how do you get them to kind of get in there, let's get in their lane?
So we have to seek before, we have to seek the knowledge before we try to give knowledge. So I try to study them a little bit. I try to really see why they are the way they are. And then I always have my cleats on. So then I'll go. Let's see if, let's see if it matches, because we all need humble pie. Like, myself, you get ran over. If you've been out there enough, you'll get ran over. If you've been on the basketball court enough, you get dunked on. You're going to have embarrassing moments. LA, I'm sure you've had embarrassing moments before. Like, we all are gonna have embarrassing moments, but we gotta kind of like gravitate to that, and like that's okay. We've been out there, so it's accepting that we're not perfect, that you're gonna make mistakes, but that's only gonna make you better if you embrace it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about, if you talk about embracing, bad moments and stuff like that. How do you help somebody bounce back after a loss or a bad sales month? And because, like you said, those different things happen. And I think as a good coach, it's not just a matter of, okay, get over it, right? Well, how do you coach how do you help somebody get past that when that does happen inevitably?
So for if we're talking to the managers, I would say every athlete is different. So every salesperson is different. You have to identify that personality and see maybe it's not a motivational thing. Maybe they need step outside, take a deep breath. Everybody's different, so you might have to attack those situations differently. But what I
Mhm.
would say is consistent is really having that conversation with that person and figuring out the mindset and how we can avoid those same mistakes. How can we be better? How identifying the issues, right? Meeting
Mhm.
those issues, and then we exceed it, right? So then every single play, if you messed up on the back pedal, your pad level's too high. Okay, we see your pad level's too high. Let's lower our pad level and see what happens. And your confidence comes back, and then now you're making plays again.
Absolutely. Like in football, you watching film, right? In sales, we listen to calls, or we kind of like, watch tape. You kind of review what the conversation was like on the sales floor, right? So, what would you say the difference is between reviewing tape, like watching the film, and reliving the pain?
That's a really good question. Because you're analyzing both. What I notice when I listen to a phone call and when I'm watching film is I might rewind it twice just to make sure I heard what I heard. Or like you always just want to make sure you're not missing anything, right? Missing any details. Um, and not taking it for granted. Oh, this is another call. Every call could be the big call where we might have missed something and we might need to send this. You know what I mean? So, like I said, the little details and watching the tape. I might watch one play LA 8 times
Wow.
just to make sure I did not miss anything and everything was accounted for. And it's the
But
same thing.
I sound on the phone. I don't want to hear that.
Oh man, that's not a winning mindset, right? So I would say on the phones, you need to on the phones for me personally listen to it. I need to go back and listen to it. Go back and listen. Make sure, okay, that greeting was good. Make sure you did build a rapport. You asked for permission. You told the purpose, right? You qualified them. And then did you offer that package, that VPP, right? Did you tell them what makes you different? Like I can't skip a step. And if I skip a step, I'm cheating you guys, I'm cheating everybody, right? And I can't cheat the ones who gave me opportunity.
Man, I'm telling you, on it. You absolutely on it, right? Because for me, I'm telling you, in reviewing film, right? I would listen to a voicemail that I just left, right? And I realized when I left my phone number, I was saying, 267-290, right? And I'm like, that's not how you say it, because it didn't really feel right to me. So I understood it had to be 290. I had to complete the word, not the word, the number 9. I had, because without that, I wasn't able to do it, right? It didn't feel quite right. So I love this whole mindset, man. This is good. So I just want to kind of close out with a couple of just really big questions, because I think that we all want to be top level in our game, right? We all want to be the monsters, right? We all want to kind of get there. So how, I guess if salespeople, right, were to start treating their job like a professional sport, like doing all the different things that we've been talking about. We've been talking about stretching, prepping, watching film, right? All the different things that we're talking about. What kind of a monster would they become?
They'll be the best of the best. You will close you will close more deals than you're closing now, even if you are the best, right? Because the one thing about the best LA is it's never enough. I'm gonna keep going back to it, right? You never feel like Kobe never felt like 5 rings was enough. Derek Jeter never felt like 5 was enough, right? The Eagles still want to win another. Pat Mahomes still, because enough is
Yeah,
not enough, so you're still hungry. And I would just say that's the parallel. Stay hungry. To if you stay hungry and you still got that feeling that like you got nothing, you're always gonna win, right? Nobody's
yeah,
gonna outdo you.
yeah. Man, my man Les Brown, he says it, man. He said, you got to be hungry, right? And I know that's old school. I'm about to send y'all back. Y'all need to go to YouTube and just type in Les Brown story. Talk about you got to be hungry, right? This is some winning mindset stuff, man. I love this, man. We could talk about this for forever, man. But I'm sure you'll be back on the podcast at some point in time. Maybe Sean I'm sure he got some questions for you. I'm sure it'll be, you'll have. But I just think that this is what it takes. You gotta spend time with winners, right? I say all the time that you are the average of the 5 people who you spend the most time with, and you've just been spending time with L.A. Williams, the blind master, the guy that came from, doing all kind of cool stuff in the music business, as they say, right? You also spend time with Brandon Anderson, right? He's got his own athletic academy, right? He's performance coach with Dealer Synergy. All American, right? Training folks to go to the NFL. Man, he can train folks to go to the NFL. He could train you to sell a couple more cars. I'm just being real, right? So it's your turn. Go out there and be a millionaire car salesman, y'all. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. If you liked it, you're gonna love Bradley On Demand. Bradley On Demand is the most advanced virtual training, tracking, testing, and certification platform. What does that mean? It's an online university. And if you like this information here, we have hundreds and hundreds of advanced videos, step by step, on how to help you sell more cars more often and more profitably, so sign up now.